Sparks flew as Sean and I glared at each other. That bully suddenly smirked. You have a sharp tongue, new girl, and you're too nosy. If you transfer to my school, I will turn your life into a living hell. I tried to not let my fear show. My heart was pounding like crazy. How did I cross a bully? Well, listen to my story to find out. My name is Sarah. Hi. My dad was a talented doctor. He always inspired me to stay kind and strong. I was diagnosed with alopecia when I was a kid. I started losing hair and got bald spots on my head, so I had to wear a wig. Of course, my parents always supported me and called me their little princess, so I tried to stay positive. My classmates called me Supergirl because of my strong sense of justice and desire to help everyone. I was sure that superheroines didn't have any weaknesses, so I hid my condition from my friends. Life went on, but one day, Dad came home in high spirits and told us that he'd been appointed head of the hospital in the neighboring district. Wow, that's awesome, Dad! I'm so proud of you! I'm going to get a raise and we will finally be able to go on a vacation to Hawaii. Yay! Aloha, baby! I started jumping for joy. But then I found out there was a catch. We would have to move closer to Dad's work. I've already found a new house for us. There's a good school right next to it. Sarah, you can decide after we move if you want to keep going to your school or transfer to a new one. Well, that sounded reasonable. Soon we packed up and moved. Our new house was big and full of light. The school really was across the street. My parents and I were unloading boxes from the car when I suddenly saw something weird. A guy ran out of school and climbed a tree, looking terrified out of his mind. A crowd of bullies chased after him and surrounded the tree. I was kidding! I'm sorry, Sean! It wasn't funny, buddy. I'm going to teach you a lesson. Sean looked mad as hell and was clearly the leader of the bullies. I always lost my temper when I saw something unfair. It was a crowd against one guy. Those cowards. So, like a real Supergirl, I came up to Sean. Hey, leave him alone. It's hardly fair to gang up on him like this. Who the hell are you? I'm Sarah, I just moved here. Showing arrogant morons like you their place is my hobby. We glared at each other. He smiled like a supervillain and said that he would turn my life into a living hell if I risked transferring to his school. Then Sean called off his goons and they left, chuckling. The guy I helped finally got down from the tree. His name was Dean. Sean can't take a joke. You shouldn't have stood up for me. Sean has a nasty reputation, and now he won't leave you alone. Dean thanked me for my help and left before I could ask him what he had done to annoy the brute so much. However, I firmly decided not to transfer to a new school. I didn't want Sean to be my classmate, and I especially didn't want him to find out about my condition and make fun of me for it. I came back home and told my parents that I wanted to stay at my old school while we were unpacking. Are you sure? It's pretty far away. You'll have to spend a lot of time commuting. I remembered Sean's smug grin. We absolutely couldn't go to the same school, so I firmly nodded. It's all right. I don't want to lose my old friends. My parents shrugged and agreed not to transfer me. Of course, my decision had consequences. Now I had to get up earlier if I didn't want to be late for school. However, I couldn't fall asleep earlier than usual. After all, I loved watching videos about space on YouTube before going to bed. For example, did you know that if the moon disappeared, so would a lot of marine species on Earth? Apparently they depend on the tides. It's nuts, right? Long story short, I wasn't getting enough sleep and my grades suffered for it. One day I decided to visit my dad at the hospital after school. He wanted to show me his new office. While he was busy doing rounds, I was waiting for him in the hallway. Then I saw a nurse. She was carrying a tray with medical flasks and yawning. The woman suddenly swayed in place, and the flasks fell and broke with a deafening sound. Oh no, I'm gonna get fired! How will I provide for my sons? The poor woman was sobbing so hard that I felt sorry for her. So, when Dad showed up, I told him that I had accidentally bumped into her and that was why she had dropped the tray. Sarah, please be more careful. We can't keep replacing these. Dad walked into his office and I helped the woman pick up the glass pieces. Her name was Bertha, and she turned out to be very nice. Thank you, you saved me. I work a lot and don't get enough sleep. I was reading a book on the porch in the evening when I saw someone draw graffiti. Can you guess who it was? Yep. It was Sean. He was spray painting the school wall. But then a security guard saw him. Sean started to run away, and he hid behind our trash can. No freaking way. He had to be punished. So I called out to the guard and ratted Sean out. Gotcha! You'll regret this, new girl. Learn some manners, jerk. The weather over the weekend was great, and I went for a walk in the park. I accidentally ran into Bertha there. She recognized me too and waved at me. The woman said that she was there with her son Jim, who was buying them ice cream. Here he is. I turned around and saw Sean. His eyes bugged out when he saw me, but then he smiled shyly and said that Sean was his twin brother. That's right, my sons look like 2 drops of water, but really, they couldn't be more different. Sean is a troublemaker and we never see eye to eye, but Jim is my favorite. I'm very proud of him. Then she showed me a baby photo of the twins. Wow, they really did look exactly alike. I wasn't in a hurry, so I had a little chat with Bertha and her son. Jim was the complete opposite of Sean. He was sweet, funny, and polite, unlike his nasty brother. I was watching videos about space until late at night again, but for some reason I couldn't stop thinking about Jim. It seemed I had a crush on him. It was little wonder that I didn't hear the alarm clock in the morning and overslept. Heck, we have a chemistry test today. I hastily packed up and ran to the bus stop, but luck had turned its back on me. It was raining buckets, and the bus splashed me with water and drove off right in front of my eyes. Ugh, I'll have to walk to school. I forgot my umbrella too. Great job, Sarah. Then a car stopped next to me. Jim leaned out of the open window and smiled at me. Hi, we talked in the park. I'm Jim, remember? How could I forget? I'd been unable to stop thinking about him ever since we met, but I decided not to blurt that out. Jim, yeah, I remember now. He offered me a ride to school. I wasn't going to miss a chance like that. We chatted along the way and Jim told me that his mom praised me a lot and told him that I had saved her from being fired. Thank you, Sarah. It was very cool of you. He was staring at me and I didn't notice a hole in the road. The car bounced and oops, my wig slipped into the side. I shyly fixed it and explained to the surprised Jim that I was wearing it because of an illness. I'm worried that someone might find out about it. After all, I want everyone to think I'm a fearless Supergirl. Then I told him that's why I wasn't transferring to the school that was much closer to my new home. After all, Sean studied there, and if he found out about my condition, it would be a disaster. I was worried that Jim would lose interest in me now that he knew about my hair, but he reassured me that it didn't matter to him. I'll keep your secret. And can I see you after school? I nodded happily and got out of the car. I was over the moon the whole day. Meeting Jim was the best thing that's ever happened to me. He picked me up after school and drove me home. We started to see each other more and more often. One day we went for a walk and ate cotton candy. I was in a great mood until Jim started talking about his brother. You know, Sean isn't really that bad. He's just misunderstood a lot. I don't even want to hear the name of that brute. Bullies like him hurt those around them to feel better about themselves. Jim looked sad as he promised not to talk about his brother anymore. Then, we heard hurried footsteps behind us. Someone was trying to catch up to us. When we turned around, we saw Sean's friends. They must have mistaken Jim for their leader. Sean, why are you being nice to this sissy? You said you hate goody two-shoes like her. Where have you been lately? How dare he? I wanted to snap back, but Jim beat me to it. Guys, I'm not Sean. Leave me alone. After that, he walked me home and kissed me gently on the cheek. Ugh, I practically melted. However, when I walked into the living room and saw Dad's face, my heart sank. He was worried and was pacing the room nervously. Is something wrong, Dad? It turned out that his hospital was going to be inspected. As luck would have it, drugs had been going missing. Dad would be fired if he didn't get to the bottom of it and find the thief before the inspection. I felt so sorry for him. It had taken him so long to get the job of his dreams. I also really wanted our family to go to Hawaii. The next day, I stopped by Dad's office and brought him pistachio cakes to cheer him up. But then I heard someone arguing in the hallway. Why did you come here, Sean? You're a bad son. You always ruin everything. Mom, please stop shouting. I looked around the corner and saw Bertha and Sean. The nurse was trying to make her son leave. What was he even doing at the hospital? And then I noticed something weird. As they argued, Sean sneakily stole a bunch of keys from the mom's pocket and said that he was leaving. It seemed fishy to me. I decided to follow him. After all, Supergirl had to investigate such suspicious behavior. What I saw shocked me. Sean opened a medicine cabinet with one of the keys and started rummaging through it. Were you the one stealing the drugs? My dad could get fired because of you. You're not getting away with this. Sean tried to deny everything and convince me that it was a misunderstanding, but I didn't listen to him and called the security. Dad came running to the noise too. Sean dumped the keys and tried to run away. That coward. What is going on? We need to catch him. He's the thief. The security guard chased after Sean while Dad was nervously checking the cabinet. But soon he scratched his head in puzzlement and said that nothing was missing. Even the pills that had been stolen the day before were there again. Something wasn't adding up. Then a nurse came up to us and said that the inspectors had arrived and were waiting for my dad. He locked the cabinet and went to them. "Go home, honey. We'll deal with that guy later." Dad left and Bertha shook her head ruefully. Why can't Sean be as good as his brother? Yeah, I wished all the boys were more like Jim. It was raining outside and I didn't have an umbrella with me again, so I hugged myself and wandered down the street, shivering and lost in thought. I was almost home when I heard someone say my name. I looked up and saw Dean, the guy I'd stood up for. I was surprised when I saw you with Sean. I don't understand why he's being so nice to you. I thought you couldn't stand each other. We can't. Sean's a jerk. I was actually hanging out with his twin brother Jim that day. Dean turned pale and nervously asked me why I was joking like that. I blinked in surprise and asked him what he meant. Don't you know? Jim has been gone for a while. It's just Sean now. I was so confused that I froze. What was he talking about? Sean could have lied to me, but Bertha had called him Jim too. I couldn't believe Dean's words and wanted someone to explain what was going on. Then I noticed that the rain had stopped. I looked up and realized someone was holding an umbrella over me. It was Sean. Dean saw him too and immediately ran away. "Sarah, we need to talk. It's about time you found out the truth." He said that Jim really had died a few years ago. It was Sean I had been hanging out with this whole time. What? I couldn't believe it. Why did you lie to me? Was it fun? You disgust me. I was mad and wanted to cry at the same time. I fell in love with a guy that didn't even exist. I was about to leave, but Sean stopped me. "Please let me explain." I sniffed and agreed to hear him out. He said that Jim had always been their mom's favorite. She adored and praised him. When Jim died, poor Bertha had a breakdown. She refused to believe it and started to call Sean Jim. I didn't want to upset her, so I played along. Mom's head often hurts because she's constantly stressed out. Recently, I found some pills at home and realized that she had stolen them from the hospital, so I took the keys and tried to put them back so that no one would get in trouble. So that's why Dad had said that the drugs were back. I asked Sean why he had lied to me. I know that I have a terrible temper and come off as rude. It hasn't been easy for me because of my mom's condition. The day we met, Dean cracked a nasty joke about Jim and I lost it. I took my anger out on you. I really liked you, but you thought I was my twin. I pretended to be Jim and tried to convince you that I wasn't that bad, but you didn't want to hear it. Everything fell into place. So that's why his friends had been surprised when they saw us together. Tears stung my eyes when I heard Sean's story. He had been through so much. I forgave him for his lies and told Dad about everything. He had a serious talk with Bertha and examined her. After some time, she got better and is now mending her relationship with Sean. As for me, I realized that being a Supergirl didn't mean having no weaknesses. It meant accepting them as a part of yourself. So I transferred to the new school and told my classmates about my condition. After all, no one should be ashamed of themselves. Sean's mother got better, and he became kinder. He's no longer a bully, but a cool guy and my boyfriend. Don't be afraid to talk with your loved ones about your problems. Leave a comment down below if you're dealing with something and need friendly advice. Okay, I'm going on a little adventure in Hawaii now. Aloha!